Hi, everyone. Today, I'm delighted to be chatting with Kat Kabat. Kat is the Director of Construction and Operations for Hope Renovations, a North Carolina-based agency that is doing some really interesting work in the area of aging in place and home modifications with a really cool twist. So, welcome to the show, Kat.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Excited to be here.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I'm delighted we have a chance to chat. So please tell me a little bit about Hope Renovations.
Sure. Hope Renovations is a nonprofit. We're located in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We um, we have a dual mission, and that is to train women and genderqueer folks to come into the skilled construction trades. And then we also work out in the community, providing aging in place renovations and repairs to homeowners who are wishing to remain in their homes. So I can talk a little bit about our training program first. So we
Sure.
our current model is a 15-week training program. We use a curriculum that provides our trainees with kind of a basic overview of a variety of trades, including plumbing, electrical, HVAC, drywall, finishes, tiling, carpentry we have a big emphasis on carpentry. But the goal overall is to try to engage more women and gender expansive folks to enter the construction trades, both to provide a higher paying employment, a higher paying job, and as well to help our workforce. We know that our industry, the construction industry, is really facing some major challenges, especially in the last couple of years with workforce development and maintaining a solid workforce. Anyone who has tried to hire a contractor or somebody to do just basic repairs over the last couple of years, I'm sure has run into that. So it's a great program. So the first 9 weeks, they're in the classroom. They're doing a portion of that is hands-on, and then for the last 6 weeks, they're out with our construction crews. So I help run the construction program for Hope, and our construction program is geared towards helping people remain in their homes as they age. We know 95% of Americans want to stay in their homes. They don't want to have to go to an out-of-home placement in their later years. And so we try to make simple home modifications to allow them to do that. And this is addressing a couple of different things. Mainly, we have a rapidly aging population, and we have very, very few resources to help meet that need. You know, folks who have aging parents or aging grandparents who are trying to help find them safe housing right now I'm sure are running into that and understand this problem acutely. But we have not done a good job to prepare for this as a society.
Yeah,
And so our goal is to really make homes safer and make homes comfortable for folks to stay in their communities and age safely.
I love it. I love the dual mission. I also can't agree with you more. I've had a guests on the show in past weeks and months who decry the lack of attention being paid by home builders and by the industry, the housing industry in general, on making homes livable for a long period of time as people age and have different physical needs.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of questions, but my
Yeah.
first question is, can you give me an example of the typical types of work that you do in a home? Is it typically single family homes or the apartments you're working in? That sort of, can you give me some context of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work primarily in residential settings. We have done a couple of commercial builds to try to make we worked for our local chamber of commerce to make their office space and their community space more accessible for folks because it wasn't quite up to ADA standards. We actually have a team. I think right now we have 4 certified aging in place specialists on our team. And so
Let's
when
just
we're
stop right there. A
sure.
certified aging in place specialist.
Yes.
Tell us what
So
that means.
Sure. The certified aging in place specialist is a credential that folks can receive through the National Association of Home Builders. And basically what it is it kind of provides folks with a training to be able to develop a lens to look at a home through every stage of life and think about what is going to make that home safer in the long term. And so it's bigger things that are more obvious, like the entry into the home, whether the home might benefit from a wheelchair ramp or a tub to shower conversion, but it's also all these little things that people don't think about, like lighting, task lighting, having, special doorknobs on your on your doors, things like that, the pulls on your cabinets, making sure that they're friendly for all types of mobility. So we have actually the person who goes out and does all of our estimates and assessments is a certified aging in place specialist. So we do kind of a pretty broad range of projects. Our sweet spot is the tub to shower conversion, and that's really what our biggest demand is for right now, because the bathroom is one of the most dangerous parts of a home for folks with mobility issues. And so we do
Can I stop you there? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
I do want to paint a picture. So what would be the typical thing you would observe in a bathroom around the tub that you'd go in and see, and then after you finish with it, what would it look like?
Sure. So typically we're walking into a bathroom, like a pretty standard bathroom with a 5-foot tub, 16 inches high. A lot of times we're walking into pretty crowded spaces with narrow doorways, with vanities that jut into the walking space and maybe the roll under area. And so our goal really is to make that space, to open that space up a little bit, make it so that people can move freely in it and safely. And so typically we're widening a doorway, we're removing kind of a standard sink vanity and putting either a wall mount or a roll under sink in, bringing the toilet up to ADA height if it's a lower seat toilet, and then removing that tub and putting in either a roll-in shower or a shower with a really low threshold.
Now, when you do a roll-in shower, that raises issues of drainage, does it not? Where you have to deal with either French drains or other issues that make it more complicated. Isn't that correct?
So there's actually some really good technology out there. What we typically do is we drop the subfloor in the home. And so there are lots of different products out there. We're actually big fans of Schluter, for those who are familiar with Schluter products, where they make really thin pans for showers. So we can drop the subfloor and be able to put in a pan that actually meets the grade of the current flooring system. And so typically we can get creative with how we create those shower systems.
Very, very cool. So why let's suppose you're typically dealing with homeowners, or are you working with nonprofits that run residential homes, or both?
Typically we're working with homeowners.
Okay,
Yes.
so I imagine that some homeowners are going to come to you because of your mission, clearly. But are there some homeowners who are attracted for another reason? Like, do you have a subsidy in your pricing or some other reason why this becomes viable for owners when they're contemplating changes like this?
Yeah, I think people come to us for a variety of reasons. There are the folks who come to us because they know about our aging in place prioritization. But really, we get a lot of folks who come to us because of our sliding scale model.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
We have a pretty unique design with our sliding scale model. So we actually function for the most part like a pretty standard construction firm, with the exception of we're a nonprofit. And so any revenue that we generate from our full cost jobs, we put back into our community using this sliding scale. And so folks will come to us who desperately need these renovations and repairs, but have no expendable income. And so anybody who has tried to price out a job on their home knows that these things can be really expensive. And so,
Yeah,
we see a real inequity with folks who can't afford it, who are then placing themselves in harm's way and living in really dangerous
exactly.
situations. And so we think that this is a pretty great model. And the folks who come to us, who are paying for full cost jobs, I think are really excited to know that when they hire us to do a job, the money that they're putting into Hope Renovations is going back into their community for folks who really need it. So, yeah, and I think too, like there's another population of folks who, we don't have any men on our work crews, and I don't know how many folks can say that they hired people to come and work on their homes and they looked like our crews. So,
Yeah.
we for maybe single women who are aging in their home, there's a certain level of comfort that our crews give folks like that, that maybe other companies can't provide. So
Hey, I've lost your video. Can you hear me? Hello. 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 Hi.
hi,
Can
you
you
cut
hear
out for a
me?
minute.
I cut
Yes.
up. Yeah, you did. I'm not sure. I think it might have been at my end, which is very annoying. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm gonna try to close some stuff so that it continues. I'm gonna I paused the recording anyway, but that's very frustrating. 1 second. Just gonna try to close some apps here.
Okay, I think you're back.
Okay, you can hear me now clearly, right?
I can, yes.
Okay, I'm going to restart. You had the last thing I had was you were talking about the safety, the kind of the sense of security people have when they come into your place. All right, I'm gonna restart the recording at my end and restart the sound. All right, so I think that's great. It's always kind of weird when a strange contractor comes in your house to do work.
Hmm.
So the idea that, you know, you might provide a sense of security around that, or just a sense of less anxiety around a stranger coming into your home is interesting. So tell me a little bit more about how the sliding scale works. So if I'm able to pay the full amount in your market, I know my market in the California area is crazy expensive. So I imagine
Hmm.
yours is a little less expensive, but if I were paying full freight roughly for the standard job of a bathroom shower tub conversion, what would be the full freight with full price?
It's hard to say because every space is so different, and it really just it depends on the finishes and the selections. If we do more elaborate bathroom renovations that are, a tile floor, tile walls, and the pricing for that can vary so much. But if we are just doing a fiberglass pan and a fiberglass surround, we can typically do that for under 5,000 typically. So it's a pretty substantial renovation, and it's, with permitting and subs and things like that, the price can vary, but that's kind of our starting price point.
So if somebody doesn't have the funds, first of all, how do you know they're not trying to scam you? That they really are not having the funds? And then how low can you bring the cost down for somebody in your market?
Yeah, so we base it off of the area median income, AMI. And so we have a tiered system based on income, and we do our full cost jobs all the way down to free jobs. So if we have
Wow.
folks who really cannot afford it, we are either looking for local municipal funding or grant funding to support those projects. Otherwise, we are using the revenue that we generate to provide that discount. Yeah, and we have had really good luck. We have never gotten scammed. We generally, trust that people are giving us the information that is
So you're
true
not
and
looking
sound.
at tax returns.
We're not looking at tax returns. We're asking for household income, um, and we yeah.
That's great. So how many homeowners have you helped since you started? Now, I think you told me earlier that you started this particular organization is only a few years old. Is that right?
Yeah, we actually initially we had planned to launch in March and April of 2020. And
Great
so
time.
so that was a little bit of a an interesting time, and we ended up delaying it a couple months, and we launched in June of 2020 very carefully. And really had to kind of change our programs in a lot of ways to do that during the pandemic. But yeah, we're a younger organization. And in the beginning, it was our entire construction team was myself and my coworker Kate. We did all of our projects, just the two of us. Um, and we have grown our team pretty significantly over the years. And we just completed our 270th project
Wow.
this month. And you know, that includes really big projects and then some smaller grab bar and repair type projects. But yeah, the demand for our projects is unending. We're currently booked through the end of February just because of the
Wow.
number of inquiries that we get, and we've kind of put a hold on estimates because we just can't handle the influx.
Mm.
And so we're trying to really quickly train folks in our training program to be able to help us with this work.
Oh,
Um,
that's the other side of it. You're providing employment for people who've been underemployed in the past. So what kind of a
right.
differential is it? How much more money on an hourly basis can somebody make doing a trade like you're teaching them how to do
Mhm.
versus working at Chick-fil-A or somewhere else like that?
Yeah, we have a lot of folks who have been working many, many years at dead end jobs, where there are really no opportunities, and really where the work is just doesn't feel meaningful, or confidence building or empowering to them. And so they're looking for a change and have maybe always kind of had an inclination for this type of work or an interest. And so we have folks who are coming in from jobs that are paying under, $10 an hour, right around there in our area. And 100% of our graduates who go into jobs are making a living wage, which in our area is between $15 and $16 an hour minimum. And that's for entry level positions. So it only goes up from there. If you can get in with an apprenticeship, with an electrical apprenticeship or a plumbing apprenticeship, you can really make a solid wage. And a lot of folks who come through our program are supporting families, and so that's really important. That's another aspect of our training program that's super unique, is we actually pay people to go through our training program.
Really?
And
How
yeah, so
that's part of your model of your nonprofit, your mission.
yeah, because we knew um, the folks that we are trying to reach are ones who still have to pay the bills when they go into a training program. And in order for them to really commit to a program like ours, which is full time, 4 days a week, um, they still need to have some sort of a revenue stream for their families. And so there are very few programs. There are no community colleges that pay you to go through their program. Um, and so they're paid a small stipend when they're in our training program, and then when they come out with our crews for the last 6 weeks, they're making $15 an hour as W-2 employees with Hope. So yeah, it's been really cool to see the graduates from our program go into a variety of different areas. We have some folks who go into apprenticeships, maybe go to the community college system to build on what they've learned here. We have folks who have this super artistic side, who maybe we have one person who's doing set building for a local theater. We had one person who was an arborist. We have people going into historical renovation or restoration. So the beautiful part about this industry is that there's so many different options
Yeah,
based on
yeah.
someone's interests. So
You know, although my podcast focuses on housing and issues around accessibility and housing, which clearly is relevant here, I also from time to time touch on employment for
mhm.
people who are differently abled. And you were telling me when we did our pre-interview that you actually have been able to hire some women who are differently abled in the past as part of your workforce. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we've actually found that this field is really a good option for folks with neurodivergence. Um, because again, because of how broad the field is and how many different um trades there are, and so many different settings that you can work on to maybe accommodate some of those neurodivergencies. Um, so yeah, we've had folks that come through our program and really do well, and maybe find a job that checks all their boxes that other industries have not been able to, that they've kind of been um, trying to fit within for a long time. Um, so yeah, I think that there's just endless opportunities in the trades for folks of all abilities.
How do you guys get your financing? Like, do you have someone who writes grants applications all the time, or are you financed by a government agency? How does it work that way?
Yeah, so we are a new nonprofit, and so all of us kind of play a part in the grant writing process. We don't have a full-time grant writer right now. All of us kind of do it at various points, but we are funded by grants. Our training program is primarily funded by grants through both governmental grants and through private foundations and organizations. And then, what's unique is that we have a revenue generating model as a nonprofit. So our construction program is designed to fund itself, and so the construction program funds about 35% of our overall programmatic costs of the organization. But yeah, we have grant funding. We also have really incredible partners that I think, locally we have just a really supportive community, and people are really excited about the work that we're doing, especially folks who care a lot about workforce development.
Yes.
We have employers who understand and who are struggling to find quality candidates for their companies. And so seeing a program like ours with the potential is really exciting for them. So that's where a lot of
Do
our
you
support comes from.
do you get support or have collaborations with local nonprofits that serve people who are neurodivergent, or other agencies, nonprofit or government, that serve both the people who would be employees of yours as well as the homeowners who could benefit from your services at a lower cost?
Yeah, we collaborate with a lot of different organizations in our area. We sit on a couple of different committees and alliances with groups who either work with folks who are looking for employment, or working with folks who both need employment and need critical home repairs. So we also partner with our local Habitats for Humanity. Their waiting list is extensive, and so sometimes we have opportunities where we can take some folks off their wait list. Rebuilding Together is another great one. Our local Department on Aging we partner with as well. And so we are very lucky. I think this is the right community for us to have kicked off our activities in for that reason, because there are so many folks who are doing, who are aligned with our work and who are serving the population that we want to connect with.
So are you growing? Are you expanding out of the area you're in right now?
Yeah, we actually we're pretty excited. We just received some federal grants to be able to expand into 2 local counties. So right now we're in Orange County, and we're going to be expanding into next door Wake, which is where our state capital is, in Raleigh, and then Durham County as well. So we are in the last
Wow.
3 years we've trained 76 women and gender expansive folks, and in the next two years we're looking at training about 200, and
Wow.
I think it's 212 is the last number I heard. So we've got some serious work to do, but we know that the demand is there, and the interest is there, and the support of the community is there. So we're really excited about it.
So I live in a very high cost area. When you talk about $15 an hour being a living wage, I have to smile because it wouldn't be
Yeah,
where I am. In fact, it
sure.
isn't. And I'm just wondering, do you think this model is duplicable around the country? And are you aware of anybody else who's trying to do what you're doing elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, we know that there's demand everywhere for a program like ours, and we're excited when we hear about others that are kind of taken off. We get contacted by folks all over the country and actually outside of the country as well, who are looking to start a program like this and who have always wanted to be involved in work like this. So we know that it's there. And yes, $15 an hour is not a true living wage. It is better than our minimum wage, but it is not anything that someone can thrive on. And so our
Yeah.
goal is for our graduates to be making a whole lot more. And I know that, the Bay Area is at the very top tier, but we have in Orange County, we actually have the highest gross median income, or maybe it's not gross median income, but we have some of the most affluent communities in the Chapel Hill area as well. So um, our goal is always for folks to exceed that living, quote unquote, living wage.
What if you had to give advice to, like, when you get calls from around the country and people want to know your secret sauce, like what would you tell them if they want to build a program like this? What has been your biggest learning experience in your involvement with
Ooh.
this? You've been with it since the beginning of the nonprofit, right?
I've been with
Yeah.
it since the beginning of the activities, since our official
Yeah.
launch in 2020. Yeah, gosh, I the list of things we've learned is kind of unending, but I think it's all about the connections that you make in the community. I think we
Yeah.
would not have been able to do it without having folks who really believed in what we were doing and supported our mission. And so I think step one will always be creating those groups of folks who are going to help you build it. I don't think anybody can really do it alone, but yeah, I think the first step is probably taking the temperature of your community and finding those folks who are going to help you make it happen. Um, and yeah, we're our new program, we're actually going to be launching in the community college system. So um, there are a lot of folks who just need the right people in the right spot, and organizations who need the same. So I would say get connected with the right people.
Wow. So, Kat, what drove you to do this, why are you, I can feel the passion when you talk about it. What
Mhm.
makes you excited about this work?
Yeah. Well, I come from a long line of blue collar carpenters and tradesmen, really. I'm the
Mm,
first woman in my family to go into this field. Um, and while I'm proud of that, I think also my path here was was quite a bit easier because I had that family connection, um and so what I've always said, I was growing up, I was at my dad's hip with every project around the house, and I,
mhm.
just it was unique because my dad didn't have any sort of hesitation with training his, or teaching his daughter how to change the oil on the car, and how to patch drywall and do all these
That's
things
pretty
that.
progressive. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but we have folks who sit on day one in our training program who come in and we ask them the same question about why they want to do this work. And it's the exact opposite. It's that, they always had an interest in this work, but their dad or whoever didn't believe that women should be doing it. And so that's what I've always said is, it shouldn't take having a handy dad for me to have found my way here. There should be other pathways, um, other than just like a lucky chance that I was born to my dad, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've always loved this work. I love I wouldn't call myself an artistic person, but I do love creating something, and to be able to create something in someone's home for them that's going to last and make their just daily experience safer and more enjoyable and more comfortable is really incredible. And to also be able to show other people how to do it is such a gift. Um, and so yeah, I went to school for social work. I went back to grad school for social work, and I was always doing this kind of work on the side, to supplement that social worker income. Um, but never really saw a good opportunity to meld the two until I found Hope. And so this has been just a really cool blending of my two interests in having a social impact, and also getting to get dirty and swing a hammer around every once in a while. So
Right.
yeah.
And it must be kind of special when you see the success of your trainees
Mm-hmm.
and the empowerment that it gives to them, and also the very substantial difference you're making in the lives of these homeowners who need to live safely, in
Yeah.
their homes and can't afford, maybe can't afford to do it if it weren't for you guys. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, a lot of times we're meeting homeowners during a time in their life that feels very scary.
Yeah. Like
Aging is
post injury sometimes too, I bet.
post injury, post diagnosis.
Yeah.
And what a privilege it is for us to be able to be some of the first folks to help them navigate like one of the most important and scary parts, which is making a home more accessible, and the financial burden of that sometimes, and being able to provide a certain level of help in doing that. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it is really a gift. And two, like working with our trainees is such a cool experience. I had a kind of a unique opportunity to be out on site all week, this week with our trainees, and um, just seeing the bonds that they have with each other. We have a cohort model, and so they're going through this training program with, up to 7 or 8 other trainees who are also tackling this training program. And the bonds that they create with each other and the fun that they have out on site, I think is really kind of a unique thing to see out on a job site. And I think our homeowners really love it and feel comfortable. And yeah, I just think it's a really great model.
So if my listeners want to learn more about Hope Renovations and your work, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we're on all the socials. On Instagram, we're at Hope Renovations. You can find Hope Renovations on Facebook. Our website is hoperenovations.org. And on that, you'll be able to find all of our contact information. If you're interested in our training program, you'll see a tab, how to get involved. And then if you're also interested in getting some repairs done in the local area, please reach out. And there's an inquiry form on there for both. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing this with me and my listeners, and thank you for doing this work. I think it's so empowering and so awesome, and I really appreciate you making the time to talk to me about it.
thanks, Stephen. We really appreciate the opportunity to get the word out. So thanks for spending time with me.